So let's try that again. Oh, Lord, Tanya, that's hilarious. Sorry. So let's try that again. I did hit the mute button, but unfortunately I didn't hit it hard enough. So, let's take that back to the beginning of welcome to the Beading Dream stream on this Torch Thursday evening. Oh, Tanya, you made my night. We had a great day here at the Beading Dreams. It was dreary and cold in Dallas, but I had a lesson from some folks from Michigan, and so I got to feel better about our weather here in Dallas. And nope, not you. It's not you all. It's me for sure. So welcome to the Torch Thursday stream. We are doing our Cairn Pendant. Okay, this was actually, I had this scheduled for last week, but then I went on my super secret beading mission, so we're going to do that this Thursday. That's today. That's right now, in fact. So let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. I'm a little bit scattered this evening, so I may or may not have everything that I need. So we're going to see how it goes. We're going to see how well I've stocked my work area. If I actually have everything here, like all the things that I may have forgotten, or if I'm actually going to have to go and get them. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to need some wire for, oh goodness, well that was a terrible, wow, that's really bright, y'all. Like that's stupidly bright. Okay, what camera designers think that these auto brightness settings are anything anybody wants to look at? Like, no, people. Nobody should have to freaking put on sunglasses to watch the stream. I mean, if you want to be extra cool and stuff, that's different, but, like, really? No, it does not need to look like high noon in the Sahara Desert. Of course, now I've got all of the freaking focus issues, which I did finally figure out the other day when I could not get things to focus. I think it's actually a white balance issue, because you may have noticed that I have a new soldering board, and my new soldering board is not black and cratered like the surface of the moon, but then my camera doesn't know what the hell to do with it. Like, look at it. It just keeps popping in and out of focus. Like, I don't even know.
I'm just over here being creepy.
Heather is over here being creepy. There was just a creepy Heather right there. It was like it was like a horror movie. It was like a horror movie in mustard. I don't actually remember what color you're wearing. I just picked a color you wear a lot.
Maybe a brown mustard.
Okay, fine.
More of a peanut butter.
It was a horror movie in peanut butter that just happened to my left. Uh-oh. So, there was a question, how is my Missy Miss today? And I do have a funny story to share about her before I get started with the project. So she is actually doing, she's doing very well today. She's full of attitude and sass for the indignities to which I subjected her yesterday, up to and including being featured on this stream. How absolutely dare I? But I think the funniest thing this morning was she decided to crawl into the closet and take a little nap there where she felt nice and safe. And she decided in order to take her nap, she was going to pull down my Carolina Herrera ball gown. And that was what she was going to sleep on. Because apparently she fancy. She very fancy. We must sleep on the designer ball gown.
She is the queen.
Apparently she is the queen. She was not happy when I removed the ball gown from underneath her. Like, really, you can sleep on anything else in this house, but no, you cannot not sleep on my ball gown, which, by the way, I bought used. I've never worn. I will probably never wear it, but it's gorgeous, and so I had to buy it when I had the opportunity. But still, I did not buy it to be a cat bed for my Missy Miss. I don't care how much trauma she's been through. So that was the funny story this morning. But yeah, she's doing really, really well. I'm looking forward to seeing her when I go home in 90 minutes. Oh, goodness. Wait, who's Cheeto Puff, Amy? This is a new cat in your sphere, with whom I am unfamiliar. But yes, Cheeto Puff is Dolly's suitor. Got it. Good to know. Okay, so let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial, since y'all are probably mostly here for the edumacation and not so much to hear me talk about my cat. So, you're gonna need some rectangular wire. So this is rectangular wire in a 4mm by 1.5. Wow. That's not even close to being correct syntax. 1.5mm thick. So 4mm wide, 1.5mm thick rectangular wire. Excuse me, in sterling silver. Sorry, I used to be able to breathe. And then apparently I forgot. You're going to need some beads. So I'm thinking that these fire opal beads right here are probably going to be what I'm going to use for this evening. So your beads just need to stack up inside your little Cairn frame. And of course you can make that frame whatever size you want to. So this here, you can literally, sorry, I think I need a little more light. Goodness, that's a happy sound. Carol popped her cork while I was on stream. Whoa. Goodness gracious. But anyway, so you can make this Cairn frame whatever size you want. So you can use however many beads you want based on, of course, the size of the frame that you make. You're going to need some wire to actually hold your beads, and that again is going to depend on the beads that you actually use. I've got some 24 gauge wire. I think on my sample I actually used 22 gauge wire. So that's really, again, just down to whatever A, you have, I'm good, thank you, on hand, and B, whatever fits in your beads. There y'all. Ah.
What?
I'm going to blame that on the champagne. Allison yawned on stream. That's a drink. Everybody drink. Everybody drink.
Hey, I'm on it. Carol's popping her cork, so.
I know. So everybody should drink. There was cork popping. I mean, that seems indicative of drinking to me. And then you're also going to need sterling silver solder, and I'm going to go ahead and use sterling silver easy solder. This is a one joint project. Okay, so it's a really, really easy project as far as the soldering goes. You don't so much need to worry about the density of your solder for this particular project. Whatever you have on hand is going to work because it's a one and done. Now, as far as tools go, you're going to need, of course, all of your soldering tools, which means that you need to extricate your torch from all of your cords. So torch, soldering surface. Again, I have a new pristine soldering surface. And apparently it kind of looks like it has a grouchy face on it, but it's much better than my previous soldering surface. You're going to need your hand tools, so that's going to be chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and wire cutters. You are going to need a file for truing up your edges. You're going to need flux and a flux brush. You should have a pickle and you should have pickle and a pickle pot. I didn't get the pickle and the pickle pot, so we're just going to skip that for tonight's tutorial, but we'll talk about why you would need that and what it does when it comes to the time where I would have used it had I remembered to bring it out from the back room and plug it in. And you also are going to need some fine steel wool and a drill. That can be a Dremel, that can be just a regular drill, that can be a flex shaft, whatever you happen to have. And then you're going to need a drill bit, and let me just check my width here. Okay, that should work. So I've got a number 52 drill bit here that's a 1/16 inch. That's going to work just fine for me. If you've got a smaller drill bit, that's also fine. You just need your drill bit to be big enough to accommodate whatever wire you've chosen to use to hold your beads. So let's decide how big I'm going to make my cairn. So let's see, I think I want to do 1, 2. Alright, I don't think I want to do too many, because these are drilled the long way, so I don't want to make this too big. So I think I'm just going to do 3 beads for my cairn. I'm going to do that little configuration right there. If I were my ruler, I would be right next to me. So how tall is that? That is 2 inches and a little bit of change. So if I make my cairn frame a little bit more than 2 inches, I should be good to go. So now I'm going to grab my rectangular wire. Alright, I have to also think about the width of my frame, which I did not do just a second ago. Alright, about 1/2 inch is my width. And I'm going to go ahead and take Lori's excellent advice, and I'm going to focus on this whilst it doesn't have my really, really, really shiny board on it. Oi. No, 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 no. This has got to be torturous for anybody who's actually good at this streaming thing. Is like, what are you doing? No, I just want you to be in focus. Why can't you just be in focus? There we go. It's like you gotta, you know, you can take advantage. Okay, with my setup, I realize that other people are better at this than I am, like exponentially better. That with my setup and the way that all of my software is working, it's like you can take advantage of the computer and hit the autofocus, but it likes to, because it doesn't quite know what to focus on, so it'll focus in on what I want and then it'll unfocus and focus on something else. It's like you've got to preemptively like click and unclick the autofocus in order to get the computer to do the calculations for you to actually focus on what you want it to focus on. There's got to be a better way to do that. Seriously. Somebody needs to show me a better way to do that. But anyway, for now we are focused. The camera is focused. We are not necessarily focused. We're less focused, but the camera is focused. So here we go with the continuing with the project. Okay, so I've got my rectangular wire. So I decided I wanted my Cairn pendant to be about 1/2 inch across. So that means I'm going to do 1/2 and 1/2. So I'm going to do 1/4 inch from here to here and then come around the other way. So that means I need 1/4 inch. That's what she said. That's what he said. I'm unclear. I don't know where the
said it.
I was gonna say I don't know where the joke is in that, but I know there is one. What up? Hold on.
So sorry.
Ziggy, hold on.
Very sorry.
BRB. Sorry, there was a moment of super secret, as long as it's longer than 8 millimeters. Seriously. Okay, so alright, so I've got my first measurement of 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to grab a file that has corners. Okay, so that's either going to be a triangular file or in this case it's a square file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to file a notch or a groove at that mark. Now, typically, you know that I advocate filing by pushing your file forward and then picking it up, moving it back, and then pushing it forward again. I will freely admit that it's really difficult to get a good groove going when you do that. So if I'm trying to file a groove, I will saw my file back and forth. Okay, that's not the most fabulous method of filing for your file, but if it gets you the shape that you need in your metal, that of course is the most important thing. Okay, so I'm not going to file too far through. I'm going to file about 10 or 15% through the metal. There you go. So that's just my little notch, and the reason for this is because that's going to allow me to create a really nice sharp bend there. So I'm just going to now take my chain nose pliers and bend. And that bend, now that I filed my notch, is much more sharp than it would have been had I not filed my notch. It would be much more kind of curvy. So then 2 1/4 inches, I believe, was the length for my frame. So we're going to go ahead and measure that. I know Ziggy's heart-shaped nose is adorbs. Seems really long, but I guess they're pretty long stones. All of the parts of him are adorbs, except when he is being, you know, except when he's being angy and slashing me. That's less adorbs. Not happy with the angy slashes, but other than that, most of him is pretty adorable. Okay, so now I made a mark 2 inches, 2 1/4 inches from my first bend. Again, that's because that's what I had measured and decided was going to be the length of my pendant based on the beads that I was using. So now I'm going to file a notch there as well. So again, back and forth. Yeah, it you know, it doesn't hurt Amy except when I touch it. So, you know, as long as I don't touch my arm, I'm fine. Okay, so once again, take your chain nose, grab, bend, like so. Okay, so now we're going to go 1/2 inch across because of course this 1/4 inch was 50% of the length that we needed there. Half an inch. I swear this marker at one point in time had a cap, and by at one point in time I mean like 5 minutes ago, and yet now the cap appears to have disappeared. Oh dear, no. Oof, is Heidi okay, Amy? Because cat bites are no joke. Okay, so I've got my 1/2 inch mark there, and I'm going to file another notch. Filing face, y'all. Alright, so now we're going to bend that. And then again, 2 1/4 inches up. They're whispering over there. I can hear them. I don't know what they're whispering about. I can just hear it.
Secrets and secret cells.
Yes. I can tell. Secrets are no fun, people.
Secrets hurt someone.
And yes, Laura, you could absolutely do the marking and then the filing and then the bending. You don't need to do it, you know, one increment at a time. You can absolutely do that assembly line fashion. Okay, so this is now my frame. So I can cut this even. There we go. I still have no idea where the top of this marker went. Oh, it's right here in front of my face. That explains why I can't find it. Okay, so now I'm going to take my cutters. I'm going to cut that off. I want to make sure that the flush side or the flat side of my cutters is towards the part that I'm leaving. And then I'm going to grab my file, and what I need to do is I need to file these edges so that they will meet flush. So I'm just going to twist them a little bit out of plane and file them flat. So I'm going to take my file and just press it firmly against that edge. And this is where I'm going to use my proper filing technique, which is I'm going to push my file forward, pick it up, come back, push back again, and then do the same on the other side. That's a horrible noise. Ooh, lordy. That was a terrible job of filing. That's not straight even a little bit. Pardon me while I file off camera, because apparently I'm incapable of filing straight on camera. At least on that camera. I can file straight on this camera. But anyway, so how's everybody doing? How's everybody's Thursday going? Anybody have any exciting news?
Much better now that you're here, Alice.
But I've been here all day, Carol.
Oh, yay. That's why it's been a good day.
Aw. Hey, Corvus. Oh, Lord, Mary. How does a urinal semi-explode? Please share with the class the narrative here. I both want to know and don't want to know how the urinal semi-exploded, but definitely wanting to know is winning in this situation.
Details, maybe not pictures.
Right, exactly. And definitely not, like, no smell-o-vision, please. If that's even a thing.
It was a long time ago.
Yay! Lori, what did you order in? I feel like it can't possibly be as good as what you would cook for yourself, but there's definitely something to be said for not having to cook for yourself, so cheers to that. Also, stream, there's another cheers here at the Beading Dreams. One of our staff members is officially 10 years cancer-free today, which is definitely cause for celebration. So woohoo for that. And now we continue with the tutorial. So I've got my I throwed it. Alright, so now I have my joint that I filed, which is right there. So now I'm going to take my flux. Flux is, of course, my barrier chemical that's going to keep my, excuse me, it's going to keep my metal from oxidizing so that I can successfully solder it. So I'm going to flux all around my joint. And then I'm going to grab my easy solder, my sterling silver easy solder, because that's what I decided I'm using for the project tonight. But once again, in this instance, it doesn't really matter. You can pretty much use whatever density of solder you want. Take that piece of easy solder, and I'm going to set it underneath my joint. So I'm going to set it down. I'm going to set my joint right on top of it now. Being careful not to set anything on fire or to melt my camera, I'm going to go ahead and solder this. So I'm just going to heat the whole thing. I feel like I need to like darken up my solder board a bit with my flame so that it will actually not be such a you know, difficult thing to focus in on. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm just going to decorate my solder board a bit with my torch. And then I'm going to move this up a little bit, and I think that should help the focus just a tad. Yeah, this is kind of fun. I'm solderboard painting. But there we go. That's actually sort of in focus. Close enough. Okay, so now that I've got everything warmed up, I'm just going to focus on that joint until my solder flows up and into my joint. Okay, somebody is seriously banging the heck out of the Beading Dreams door, and I don't know if there's anybody out there. So, I'll be right back. Okay, I have returned. One of our guests forgot her coat, so now she has her coat, and I'm back to what the heck was I doing? I was soldering this thing. So, back to soldering. Back to where we left our tutorial. Sorry, this camera really needs to be further up, and it's just not wanting to stay. Of course, this is the same camera that fell down on the noon stream, so, you know, that's exciting. Okay, so let's solder this puppy take 3. Now, I'm going to heat the whole thing. Now my solder's kind of migrated a little bit over to the side, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but I grabbed my solder pick. Love me some titanium solder picks. And so I'm just going to use my solder pick to kind of scooch it over so that it's more lined up with the joint. I want to make sure to soak this with plenty of heat. It's okay. And ideally, once I heat this enough, that solder is going to flow and join my piece together. thank you for finishing up with Sally and Linda.
They're super happy. You have a couple checks.
Oh, that's amazing. So this is taking a long time for two reasons. Number one is my torch really needs to be refueled, so it's not the flame's not as big as it should be. Number two, this is a really large piece of metal, considering the size of my torch. So when you're soldering, you've got to make sure that you can heat the metal up to the temperature where solder will flow. And the problem is if there's too much metal with a torch like this, you can't quite get there, which is, yeah, kind of what I'm experiencing right now. So there's a fix for that. And I see your question, Corvus. I will answer it in a minute. Because this is going to have to cool. So, you can't get there with one torch. You can get there usually with two torches.
You can't get there with one. You can get there with two.
Yep.
Sorry.
There we go. And see, wham bam, solder flowed. So, now I'm going to give this a minute to cool before I try and touch it and continue on with the project. So I'm going to take this time to answer a couple of questions. First of all, Amy, I would love to find out what you found today while tossing and packing. But Corvus asked, Corvus asked, what is the bare minimum that you need to start fabricating with sterling silver or brass, bronze, copper, that you need to start soldering metal to fabricate jewelry? So the bare minimum that you need, you're gonna need a torch. You can start with a butane torch. That's what I use. Most quote-unquote real jewelers will use different gases. They'll use propane or they'll use acetylene. Those are hotter gases. You can get bigger flames. But for most of your smaller jewelry projects, your propane, or not your propane, your butane is sufficient. So you can definitely start with a butane torch. You need some kind of a soldering surface. This is called a solderite board that I use. You can also use a fire brick, a charcoal block. There are a number of different soldering surfaces that you can get. So you need a torch, you need a soldering surface, you need some form of flux. I like handy flux, and then some sort of container for it, and a brush is what I'm looking for, the word, to apply the flux with. You're gonna need pickle and a pickle pot. We'll talk about why I don't have that in a minute and what it would do if I did have it. You need solder. You can, if you're just doing simple projects, you can start with just easy solder. You don't need all of the densities of solder. Eventually, you probably will want medium, easy, and extra easy, just so you can do more complicated projects. You're going to need files. You're going to need files, steel wool, and sandpaper. And that's, as far as just starting out, that's pretty much kind of your baseline kit right there. And then, of course, as with any crafty thing, the more you get involved with this, and the more fun projects you want to make, the more tools and bits and bobs and things and whatnots and doohickeys that you're gonna want. Also, by the way, Corvus, my resin molds that I ordered finally came in. I blame Corvus and ASO for the money that I spent on those.
I also do.
And Heather corroborates my blaming, so that means it's absolutely 100% valid. My blaming of Corvus and ASO for the fact that I spent my grocery money on resin molds has been validated by the Heather. So anyway, okay, so is this not quite cool enough to touch yet? So let's talk for a second about, I will be happy if my resin dreams turn out as as good as I would like them to. As you know, Corvus, being a resin artist, you know, it's not that easy. You can't just, you know, chunk the resin in the mold and it comes out like the videos on the Facebook, because like unto some of the things that I do, it takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of know-how. So I'm fully expecting some expensive failures to happen before I actually have expensive successes. Oh my gosh. Being a crafty person is not for the faint of heart, y'all. Really isn't. Okay, so let's talk for a second about pickle. So pickle is a weak acid solution, and ooh, that's awesome, Smee. So pickle's a weak acid solution. What pickle does is it cleans off all of this black gunk and all of this flux residue from your metal so that you can continue to work with it. It is usually kept in a crock pot or other sort of warming device, because it does work better when it's warm. And you can absolutely reuse it, so you can mix your pickle once and you can use it for several different projects. Of course, I forgot to grab mine out of the back, and not only that, I forgot to make a space for it. So we're gonna go ahead and go non-pickle for tonight, which means basically we're just gonna have a little bit more black oxide on our piece. It's gonna be a little bit more, it's gonna have some character to it. So what we're gonna do is grab some steel wool, some fine steel wool. Come here, fine steel wool. And I'm just gonna go ahead and steel wool off as much of this black stuff as I can. I'm just steel wooling off as much of the black stuff as I can. So this right here is where the flux actually kept my metal from getting oxidized, which is what your flux is supposed to do. So once again, if I had pickle, it would take all that flux residue off. But for now, once again, we're just going with personality. It's got personality, y'all. It's true. Amy could send Heather or myself pictures and we could post in Discord, since Amy and Discord have a bit of a disagreement about who's in charge. Okay, so now there's my frame. So ideally, what I would do is I would pickle this and steel wool it, or I would throw it in my tumbler. And that would clean out all, or clean off all of the black residue, also all of the flux residue. But I'm kind of liking this distressed finish on the side. Like I'm not mad at that. I have no problem with this. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna drill the holes in the top and bottom that are gonna hold our beads. So that means I'm gonna grab my Dremel and I'm going to like, you don't have 1,000 things to keep track of?
One more thing.
That's debatable.
It is debatable. I'm gonna win though.
Why?
Okay, maybe not. I've had more champagne. I think I automatically lose. Dang it.
So close.
Well, that's okay. I just put this in with the completely wrong collet, so there's that.
Okay.
Heather has definitely had too much champagne, y'all. Wow.
How do you know?
Well, seriously, I just looked over and she's leaning on the bin, just like staring. She literally looks just like that, y'all. Yeah. So what we're saying, I think, is, am I driving you home tonight?
I'm not driving home right away. For sure.
Well, I'm trying to find the right collet for this stupid thing. This is the thing that sucks about Dremels, is if you don't there's like this Goldilocks zone where it's like the opposite of Goldilocks. It's like you can't find the right thing. Can't find the right receptacle. I
am seeing through walls now.
feel like we're going down some kind of philosophical path here, but really, oh, because the collet nut I need fell out of my box. Hi, Sharon. Yeah, well, we had some delightful clients in who we absolutely adore, and they brought champagne. And now Heather is,
I did not eat enough.
Heather's the main character in a Disney movie for a little while now.
That's an excellent way to describe it. I'm really fun right now.
You're very happy, it's true. Heather is extremely happy. Which, I mean, who am I to complain about a happy Heather? Okay, so what I'm doing is I am finally loading the proper collet nut into my Dremel tool so that I can put my size 52 drill bit in there so I can drill some holes into this frame that I just made. I mean, it's been a rough go at the Beading Dreams lately, so Heather definitely deserves her Disney princess happiness for the moment. Okay, so this is my size 52 drill bit.
I have earned it.
You have, in fact, earned that so hard. It's true. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to drill right in the middle of this frame that I just made. And usually you want to, not do that. You want to brace it more like this so that you're not just skipping your drill bit around like I just was. There we go. Once it touches, it's pretty easy for it to go through. Do the same on the other side. That can get hot, so you may want to wear gloves when you're doing that. I mean, at least if you start speaking French, I can still understand you. Hey, SJ! We always encourage glasses of wine and cocktails on the Beading Dreams stream. Whether you're the one dealing with the torches or not, we are all for it. Plus, if you join us for our Saturday evening sales at 7:30 p.m., we have sip shopping and shenanigans. So that means we have definitely a drinking game that we like to play, and we'll do a signature cocktail every Saturday night. Our one for this Saturday is another one of our shaker and spoon cocktails, the Winter Water Sprite. I do officially have chamomile tea infusing. No, I haven't even had that much champagne. Infusing. There you go. Heather's euphoria is osmosing into me somehow. But anyway, I do officially have chamomile tea infusing in some Irish whiskey for Saturday's Winter Water Sprite. So absolutely, yeah, we're definitely we're not gonna pressure anybody to drink if that's not your thing, but we are definitely a stream where drinking is a thing. Okay, so I've drilled my holes. Hole. Heather is always sparkling in her personality, but she is definitely a little bit more so right now. Well, no, they sent a tea bag.
Yeah, but did you do the tea bag?
Yeah, I put the tea bag in the whiskey.
Sweet.
I haven't.
Successful.
Y'all, she is completely toasty. Oh my god. You're not fired, Javette. Oh my god, you're hilarious. Heather and I train with the drinking. You may have noticed this. So it's not actually often that I get to see a truly tipsy Heather, because we're both pretty good at this drinking thing. But tonight, yeah, this is really funny. So anyway,
Sorry.
why? I mean, you're making me laugh. That is definitely something that is needed. I will make sure you get home safely. It's, you know, no harm, no foul. But anyway, to go back to Ace's comment, the teabagging is currently in progress. Because one of the things, so I'm a member of Shaker and Spoon group on Facebook, and so what the instructions on the cocktail say is to put the tea bag in the whiskey and shake vigorously. And approximately 70% of the people online said that when they did that, the tea bag broke, and then they had to strain chamomile tea bits out of their whiskey, which is not something that is appealing to me. So I went for a more slow burn on the tea bagging, and so the tea bag is just currently sitting gently cradled in the whiskey with, you know, just gentle massaging and ocean-like motions to infuse the chamomile tea in the whiskey. So anyway, so the upshot of that is, yeah, the tea bagging is still in progress. It has not been completed yet. I know, but isn't it better if you just don't have to remove the tea bits from the whiskey, Lori? I mean, if we can just prevent the tea bits from happening, I feel like this is a better choice for this process.
Yeah, welcome, SJ.
Yeah, seriously, SJ, have you run away yet? Or do we have you? Because I feel like this is one of those defining moments where you're either like, these are my people, or, oh my god, I am leaving and never coming back. So anyway, I'm gonna now add my beads to my Cairn frame. Again, I didn't have any pickle, so I haven't pickled it. You could pickle it and steel wool it, or at this point, if you have access to a tumbler, you could just throw it in your tumbler, let it tumble for a day or so, and it'll get nice and shiny. But I'm gonna once again embrace the distressed nature of this, and I'm gonna add my beads. That means I'm gonna grab my thinner silver wire. For me, that's my 24 gauge. And I'm gonna just cut myself about 3-4 inches of it. Basically, yay! SJ is still here. Yay! I think that means we've got them. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of wire that's just about twice as long as my frame. So my frame's 2 inches. I'm gonna cut 4 inches. That may not be what I just said, but 4 inches of wire it is. Heather absolutely has no filter.
None! It's gone.
Also, SJ, Corvus, Crafty Skull Corvus, who's probably above you in the comments a little bit. She is also in California. Corvus, are you near LA? I feel like Corvus is near LA.
No, Corvus is near to Sacramento, which is...
Okay, Corvus is near to Sacramento. But anyway, y'all are both in the same state and the same time zone.
At least one of us knows California geography.
Even tipsy. This is hilarious. So anyway, got my 24 gauge wire. So what I first need to do is I need to take my wire and I need to make a stop so that I can put it up through my frame, and it's not going to come all the way through, so I can then put my beads on it. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers. Remember, I said way back when that you were going to need your round nose pliers. Yes, Corvus, another person from your time zone. S.J. Dangot, 2 comments above you, right above Heather.
Who seems to be sticking around.
I know, who seems to be sticking around despite the ridiculosity. And it's not even a Saturday night stream. It gets better? Worse? I don't know. Well, I guess that really depends on your metric, but it gets more intense than this. Sometimes. Alright, I'm going to take my round nose pliers and... Oh, Lordy. Really? No. At some point I'll get my... At some point I'll remember how to speak English. At some point I'll get my lighting situation, but, Yay! Hi, Stephanie! Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and roll myself a little double coil in my wire. So I just did that right on the tip of my round nose pliers. And I'm going to take my frame that I drilled my hole in, and I'm going to pop my wire through that. Now I'm going to thread my beads onto this wire. And Allison had 3 beads. Hey, and Allison still has 3 beads. That's exciting. Are you sure we don't bite, Corvus? I mean,
Only if asked.
I think the only reason we don't bite is because it's really impossible to do that through the interwebs.
Consent is sexy.
Well, consent is sexy. It's true. Okay, so I've got 3 opals. We don't not on Thursdays. I mean, Amy's not wrong. It's got to be a
For that, though.
it's got to be a special.
Someday.
That's fair. So yes, Stephanie, welcome to the crazy wackadiness of the Beading Dream stream. I teach crafty projects, and everyone else tries to derail me with crazy comments, and sometimes I derail everyone with crazy comments. We have a live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday, where we sell beads at 7:30 p.m. We have Zoom crafty cocktail hours. Those happen every other week on Fridays, and yeah, just general shenanigans. This week, is it Zoom tomorrow?
It is. I need to sit up.
Okay, well, cool. So we have a Zoom crafty cocktail hour tomorrow. So Stephanie, if you want to be on a Zoom with us, go ahead and email your email address to. Okay, I realized that was ridiculous.
I'll post it.
Go ahead and email beadingdreamsdallas@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord, and you can type !Discord into the Twitch chat. And that'll get you the invitation for our Discord. There we go. Thank you, Heather. And we will post the information up in there as well. But right now, let's go ahead and finish this project. So I've got my beads on there. I had a little bit of a bead substitution because I made my frame too long. So I put 3 of these fire opals in, and it was too short. I had a gap at the top. So luckily, I had some other beads next to me. So I've got this whiskey quartz that I put in there instead. So now I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to put it through the top hole of my frame. Well, we will help you use your beads as well, Stephanie. And the Zoom is fun because if you've got any projects that you need help with, or if you need inspiration, you're just like, hey, I've got these beads, what should I do with them? We are a nicely opinionated group, I think is how I would describe us. So everyone is going to be happy to help you out with how to use your beads, so you don't have to buy more. We can help you figure out how to use what you have as well. Okay, so now on top of this frame, I'm gonna drop 1 bead. I just grabbed a basic gunmetal bead, but anything just kind of smaller will work well on top of this. I just like it to kind of put a button on the top of our piece, and then I'm going to do, anyone want to guess what I'm going to do now? Starts with a B. See, when I'm waiting for people to guess, there's lag, so, oh darn, I have to drink.
Why did we get an email addressed to Jill?
Sorry. That wasn't you, that was the chat. So, Stephanie is very close to being correct. Sharon got it. Basic wire wrapped loop to make a bail for the top of our piece. So that means I'm going to take my, and the answer to your question, Heather, is I have no idea. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to place them so that they are touching the top of that very top bead. Now I'm going to take my non-plier hand, I'm going to push my wire away from me over my pliers to make a right angle, or fairly close to a right angle over my pliers. Now I'm going to loosen my pliers. Notice I'm leaving them in that corner that I just made, so I'm not going to take them out. I'm just going to pivot them a little bit and grab again right on that corner. Take your wire back up over your pliers and down till they hit that bead in the front. Now I'm starting to form a loop around my pliers. Now I'm going to loosen my pliers, rotate them, and grab again. And what that does is it exposes us this little corner here. And I'm going to push my wire underneath my pliers to make my completed loop, which we do call our lady with a scarf. Now, something fun that I think I'm going to try on this one, because this is 24 gauge wire, which means that it's a little bit less sturdy than I really kind of like the feel of on this. I'm going to make a double coiled bail. So I'm just going to continue to go around my round nose pliers. So now what I have is I have a two-headed lady with a scarf. So I've got a double coil. I could continue on to make a triple coil, quadruple coil, however many I wanted, but I'm going to stop at 2. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and hold across that loop, and then I'm going to wrap down starting at the base of the loop all the way down till I reach my bead. Now, I have a bit of a problem here because this bead that I chose has a really large hole. And what's going to happen if I cut my wire off right now is my bead's just going to pop right over my wire wraps, and it's going to just make a really messy look. So the trick to fixing that is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back up my wire wraps, wrapping over the wraps that I already made to make a thicker coil. Okay, and if I needed to, I could actually go even back down again. But I think that the thickness here is appropriate for my needs. So I'm going to go ahead and trim my wire off, and then that pokey stabby bit I'm going to press down with my pliers so that it is neither pokey nor stabby anymore. And then if my loops have gotten a little misaligned just through the holding and whatnot, I can just straighten them out with my round nose pliers. Something else that I could do if I wanted to is I could take my chain nose and put them right in between those two loops, and I could actually spread this out. I could make a cute little rabbit ear bail from that as well. So that, people of the Beading Dreams stream, was our Slightles Cairn Pendant Torch Thursday Beading Dreams stream. I am pretty happy with the way it turned out, and hopefully all of you had a really good time listening to Heather and I and all of our crazy shenanigans. So that's it. That's Torch Thursday. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us on the Beading Dreams stream. I'm Allison. The voice in the background is Heather. We are from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. We are here on Lover's Lane in Dallas for anybody who wants to come visit us Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. until 6 p.m. If you're not local in Dallas, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, 5 times a week typically, with complimentary tutorials. We stream Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, plus Thursdays at noon, and live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. However, tomorrow night we will not be on Facebook, we will not be on Twitch, we will be on Zoom with Crafty Cocktail Time from 6 to 8 p.m. If you Zoom with us on a regular basis, the credentials for that Zoom meeting are the same. If you've never Zoomed with us before, you can check our Discord for that posting, or of course email us beadingdreamsdallas@gmail.com. So I'll look forward to seeing everyone on Zoom tomorrow, and we'll be back on Saturday with this tutorial. It's a knotting tutorial. It's our mixed bead tin cup and necklace. So that's going to be our Saturday tutorial, followed by a live merchandise sale. So everyone have a fantastic Thursday night, and we'll see you guys on Zoom tomorrow and back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, on Saturday at 6 p.m. So thanks so much. Thanks, new viewers. We appreciate you so much. Please come back and see us again, and hopefully we will see everyone tomorrow. Bye!